Hello everyone, this is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for more than 3 years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm about to go into what we're shipping out today and Friday. Actually was our lowest sales day this month, but still pretty good. And I also woke up into a couple more sales, so it makes the video look a little bit better. But the actual bar for yesterday was worse, like the worst so far. All right, first up is going to be this right here. They're kind of already in this box that I got from auction. I think someone used like a cigar box or something. I don't really want to flip it up and down to show you just because I don't want stuff to be damaged. But it was like a bunch of these World War II German and American vehicles. I don't think it was for any specific game. They're metal miniatures. They were really well painted. I actually hit the auction number. I spent 10 bucks on this one. I ended up selling these 12. There's 12 of them. I sold it for $35 plus shipping. Everything's going to be plus shipping. This was when I started to experiment with buying well-painted stuff because I had no idea if it would sell for a lot more. It was still a pretty good flip. Not like the craziest flip after fees and then, the time to list it, but definitely good money from that one. And they are really cool looking little miniature vehicles. All right, next up is going to be a combo order. Someone started a World of Warcraft trading card game collection. They were messaging me. We end up selling 2 of these boxes. These are kind of these boxes that would come with packs and play mats and foil cards and just extra stuff. It was kind of like the fat pack from Magic the Gathering or Elite Trainer box from Pokemon. This is going to be, I don't think that these have a specific name. They don't have fat pack or Elite Trainer box. But yeah, this is War of the Eternals. It's just the box right here. It still has storage for tons of stuff. Like I said, I think these storage containers for the WoW TCG game are pretty cool because you can also fit a playmat. As well as I also got this one. I got these 2 from the auction where I spent like 400 bucks for World of Warcraft trading card game stuff. And this is just kind of some of the scraps, the extra stuff at the end that I listed, just empty boxes because I know people will use them for storage. But yeah, they end up spending $25 for both of them. So I took a lesser offer just because they were getting 2. All right, next up is going to be this new open box Italeri. It's going to be road signs for either wargaming or some kind of, yeah, it's probably wargaming because there's barbed wire stuff right there. Maybe an RPG, apocalyptic one, or maybe even for a miniature game. Doesn't have to be wargaming. It could just be any miniature game or a train setup. People do different train setups in their little basements and stuff. They'll have these big setups where trains go through. You have a whole village. But yeah, this ended up going for $11.20. This is going eBay International for that one. It was I labeled that as new open box because it was open, without the plastic wrap on it, but it still had everything was still there, needing to be punched out of the sprues. All right. Next up is going to be Raging Heroes. I also got a bunch of these at an auction. I wasn't really too sure what they were. No one else was bidding on them. There was a bunch of baggies that were being bid up. I think I got them for the minimum bid, which is $2. So I got really lucky. So I got 12 or 13 of the bags. I got a ton of them. And then they were these figures called Raging Heroes, which is, I think, a female artist that did a bunch of female miniatures, I believe. I don't know if there's a game that goes for this. I think they're from the UK. But yeah, someone picked up, I've sold a ton of these. So it's a really good call for me to pick this up while everyone else was ignoring it at an auction. And I took a gamble of 24 bucks or, however many bags I got times 2. It was a bag of a bunch of miniatures within one bag, if that makes sense. So they were these big lots. This one right here went for $13.12. They were labeled Jailbirds, JBR2. They were some sci-fi miniature looking ones. All right. Next up, I forgot to grab it, but it's in the other room because I was just listening to the bin. It's going to be a Lords of Waterdeep board game, 1 promo card. There's 2 promo cards that exist. This one, someone had it listed for $250. They just had a really high price. I also listed it super high. And then there was one sold that showed that someone sold both promos for $90. So it's kind of hard to figure out what the price was. But yeah, someone ended up sending a $50 offer, and I think Annetta countered at $70. We sold it. So it's just a cool little extra promo for an old board game by Wizards of the Coast. It's also in the Dungeons and Dragons realm. I've played the game, and Annetta's played the game. It's a really good game. That game used to be 10, 20, 30 bucks if you found it locally. And I think a couple years ago, I think Wizards said that they weren't going to reprint that particular game or the expansion anymore. So the board game shot up in price. And I know that happens to a lot of collectibles. Board games are still kind of in the area where people haven't caught on that some of these games can, stop being printed. And I don't know where the price can go up. So I'm looking forward to seeing how board game as a collectible works in the future. You can get like some of the holy grails for like $200 to $400. I talk about, and if you go look at like another collectible, like, you know, whatever, watches or coins or Pokemon, holy grails are like in a crazy price. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, this promo sold for $70. All right. It's just like one extra card that you add into the deck, just one card. All right, next up is going to be these little chariot miniatures. I think it's the company CM. Yeah, CM Chariot Miniatures. The little label was Hog 18. I think it's these like infantry with like these double spears. Greek peltasts. There you go. I happened to actually identify these when I was listing them. But yeah, these end up... What was that? What just happened?
Something fell on Mindy and she's playing
your mode. Okay. All right. But yeah, these miniatures end up going for $17.49 to repeat buyer. I've been listing some more miniatures recently. I got a bunch of these like metal ones that I had to like organize. I don't know what brand they are. And then I don't even know like their full like scale and stuff. So that's what I've been working on the past few days. That happened to not be the one I listed recently, but I am working on that kind of category. All right now. Next up is going to be Stalingrad. This is going to be a paperback book. Got a bunch of these military ones for specific battles, people, vehicles and stuff, and they've always done well for us. We got this a long time ago. $8.75 for this one. All right, next up is going to be a single figure for Mech Warrior by WizKids. This is going to be one of the vehicles. This is going to be a Chandra scout vehicle right here. This is by the Steel Wolves. This Mech Warrior, this game's not around anymore. They're basically like the mech version of the HeroClix. HeroClix is going to be the superheroes, you know, the Marvel and the DC. But you would have infantry, you have these big mechs, you have vehicles. They'll have little faction symbols. You have to make your team based on a faction, and then the figures will have different rarities. So there's a collectible aspect to it, as well as they'll have a point value for within the game. So if you might play 100 points, this vehicle is worth 15 points. So yeah, normally I do these as lots, but when I got a huge Mech Warrior collection, I decided to do a bunch of them as singles just to see how it works out, and then a bunch of them as lots. And usually for the lots, I'll do the same faction because that's how people have to build their army. So I've had a couple people buy like the little lots I made, and they wanted to know how many points there was in there because they want to like make an army and basically have someone else like do the work of putting them together. But yeah, $4 for this one, which is pretty good for like one individual figure because they're also paying shipping for that. I reached out to them and let them know that I had a bunch of other stuff if they wanted to do the combined shipping, but they just wanted the one. All right, moving along, not a normal category. We got this from a storage unit flipper, I think in 2021. Still has the KB Toys. This is going to be a lunch date Barbie right here. I remember we would just get a bunch of stuff from this person. We would do like a bulk price. Don't know anything about Barbies or dolls. I know that there's going to be good stuff in any collectible. But yeah, this ended up going for $6.99. All right. Next up is going to be two Star Wars Imperial Assault cards for like a little character expansion. This is BT1, and it's going to be, it's either, yeah, 000. These are just going to be cards for Star Wars Imperial Assault. It has a bunch of expansions by Fantasy Flight Games. One person plays the Empire, everyone else plays the Rebels, and you go through like a campaign in like a bunch of series of events where there's different objectives, and then you kind of upgrade your characters, and then the Empire can also upgrade like their abilities and stuff. And then there's always like extra characters you can add to the game or modules or expansions. There's a lot of them. These are just a couple cards from one of them. These are character cards. These I'm going for $3.74 just for the two. I got a bunch of this stuff in completes, but I still matched up all the cards within their expansion, and people are still picking them up because some of them are modular. You don't really need like all of the miniatures and stuff. Maybe you like, you know, something of yours ripped and you don't want to, like, some of these expansions can be really expensive if they're complete and still like new and sealed. So if you have damaged parts and you want to replace them, I have them listed. All right. Last up for the day is just going to be a basic. It's like a set of 6 board game player pawns with some dice. I don't know what game this was from. It still has like the plastic wrapper around it. Yeah, someone just wants more pawns. Maybe they're making their own board game. Maybe they're doing like a school project or something like that. Or they know what game this goes to and they lost some of theirs and they want them replaced. This is also going to a repeat buyer for $6.99. All right, that's everything. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I hope everyone has a great weekend.